Right, welcome back. It's been about nearly 2 months since I finished the pulse rifle, which would have been the end of October. It is now the week before Christmas, and I'm finally getting around to do this project, this car. I've had it in my possession for about 2 years now, so here's the next project. Right, it's the 1/24 scale Revell Corvette Racing C7.R from the WeatherTech IMSA Endurance Championship. I wouldn't say I was really a fan of endurance racing. I don't really watch it because my racing car watching is Formula 1, IndyCar, NASCAR and World Rally Championship. But because some of you know I play Forza Motorsport on the Xbox, I first discovered this car in Forza Motorsport. I think it was Forza Motorsport 6. And ever since then I've actually loved this car. Picked this up for, I think it's about 20 quid off eBay about 2-3 years ago. And now I'm finally getting around to build it. Right, so the box stands nearly 5 inches tall. So that's the box art. That's what it could look like when it's finished. Box art's just pretty standard, to be honest. So that's that. Right, so you get your yellow body shell. Let me just put this down. Right, so you get your yellow body shell mounted in yellow plastic. Looks like it's pretty much all the body shell apart from a few parts that are missing. But it looks like the front and rear bumpers are fully there possibly. So I haven't got to do like on the Escort kit, which was my last car, and glue that on. Might have to glue a bit on there. I'm hoping it's nothing too major. You've got slip rubber tyres. Clear bits for the rear lights. So that's that bag. Just putting them back in there. Here's what I'm most impressed with, the clear part for the windows. It has already been pre-painted, and that's going to save me a hell of a lot of masking, because I hate masking clear windscreen and rear windscreen and window parts for cars. So I'm really impressed with that. Putting that back in. So you've got some clear front part for the front headlamps, which looks like a one piece. You've got some grey moulded parts, which is rims, bucket seat. I don't know what that thing is, I ain't got a clue. Steering wheel possibly. Side doors and the bonnet. Oh, and possibly wing mirrors there. Some darker grey sprues. There's about 4 or 5 sprues in there, mostly interior. So you got like a radiator, cams I think for the engine and stuff. Looks like this will have a full engine. You got the interior chassis cockpit and rear spoiler. I don't know what the hell that is. You've got dashboard there. It's quite detailed, to be honest. Not bad. And that's it for the box. Decal sheet, not bad. Measures 6 by 4 inches. So that's not too bad. And then you've got the instruction guide. So you've got your paint guide there, parts guide there, English, French, German maybe, Italian. So it starts from the engine block. You got the chassis plate, which the interior is going to mount into. It looks like it's 2 parts. A bit more of the wheels and the axles, rims. Then you start your interior cockpit and then you mount that onto the bottom. Usually that's all in one piece. That's usually all one piece on the other cars that I've done. A bit more of the interior, seats and walls and panels. Bits of the roll cage. I hate roll cages on model cars. I don't think this is going to be any different, to be honest. And then you've got mounting the windscreen, the window part into the main body, and then outer body work. So it don't look too bad, to be honest. And then finally you've got your decal placement guide. So that's that. So that's my little mini kit review. It's time to get cracking on. Right, just one more thing before I start work. I've now took all the sprues out of their bags. And there's a fair whack of sprues, you know, all little tiny sprues. They're not like big massive sprues, which I was quite surprised with. But like I said, I've laid it all out. On my table. As I said, on the first stage it's going to be engine work. Actually, like I said, my clear part. Another clear part which I showed you. And a few bits in that bag. So there's everything laid out on my table, ready to start work. Right, I've started work on the Corvette now. Started on the first page of construction. You've got the two halves of the engine block and the engine block plate that sits underneath. So those are all put together now and painted. So I've just gone with the aluminium. I found some pictures on a website called GM Authority, and it was about the beginnings of the C7R, and there's some really good reference photos on there. So I've just painted the aluminium, a bit on the side of the block with some blue, a bit of black. Same on that side as well. So that's all that. And you've got the ancillary parts for this part of the engine, because that isn't everything of the engine. The next few pages, once I start putting it into the chassis and the interior tub, there's going to be a few more extra parts. So you've got those bit extra there, and then you've got the underneath chassis plate, and you've got the axles as well. So I've just painted pretty much all that on the sprue. So after I finish the engine, you've got the tops of the engine box in black. I don't know if you can make it out, but there, unless I switch the flash on, I don't know if you can make it out, but there's some Corvette writing on the one there, and there's some Corvette writing on there as well. So that's that. That's going to be covered up with a silver decal. We'll see how that goes down. I've got that little bit there that goes on the engine block. That actually looks like a face hugger from Alien. So I just painted that in the gunmetal. You've got the little bits that's got to sit on the front of the engine, and then you've got the what do you call it, the cam belt with the cogs. So I've just picked out the belt itself in the anthracite, matte black for the cogs, aluminium for that front part. You've got the underneath chassis. I've just sprayed that in the primer, and then the Halford's matte black. So that's the underneath chassis done. And then you've got the axles, the axle mount. So I just sprayed it in the matte black. When I'm back onto that GM Authority page, I've got anthracite for the actual brake discs, and for the actual the brake discs, and you got the brake calipers. I've painted those in gunmetal, and the insides of the brake discs in gunmetal, because that's what it looked like on the website, and I've done it for that side as well. So with all that being said, I can actually start putting all that on the first page together. Right, I've now completed the full engine block on the first page of construction. So you've got like that face hugger thing, even though it's like whatever that is, that's painted in the gunmetal. I've now glued the two black blocks on with the Corvette writing. You've got a plate that was behind there, and the actual cam belts and their pulleys and that. So that's those. So that's all that. So you glue the plate onto there, and then you glue the cam belt and the cogs, not pulleys, onto there, and you push. Well, I actually put that on there and then glued that on there, because on the back of that cog there's a hole, and that plugs into the little plug that's mounted on there. And on the back of this little cog here, there's actually a little rod that plugs into the side of that plate there. So if I can just see, there's the little peg that goes through that little hole there on the back of that plate, and then that little peg there on this plate goes through the little hole of the cog. So that's that's that part of the engine done. There's still a lot more to go on there yet. Those are in the later stages. I've also oh, let's get rid of that metal rod. I've also glued the axles inside. I spray painted those in the black, as I said before. Just done the anthracite and the gunmetal. That one, it just there's like a cutout there and a cutout there in the axle, and you've got these like two mounting rods with the holes in. So you just push those down. You don't even need to glue that in. So you just push that down slightly, then push it down, and then push it down equally. This one, you see where I've cut it off a sprue and I've just sanded that down. That needs redoing. That is an actual lip. It's like an L. It's like an L lip. And when you push them onto, that doesn't even push on downwards. You push it on that way. Because I don't know if you can make it out. That's just cut out. That is. But underneath there is like a little rod step. So you push that onto there, and then that little L shape mount goes onto the back of there, so it pushes down equally. Now the axles are proper metal. These are proper metal. So what you do, you see them two holes there on the engine, that goes on there and there on those two pegs. And then once you get that on there, I haven't glued that down. The actual axle rod, which is a piece of metal, like I said, you should push that through. Oh, put that on the wrong way. Right, so get that on the right way. That's better. So you push the metal axle rod through there, and then it actually goes through the bottom of the there's actually a groove on that plate, just in front, the one that you glue the cam belt on, and you just push that through. And then that goes in the little hole on that rod there. And then just get in my tweezers. And then you just push that rod a bit more. So your wheels will actually go through the brake hubs onto the little metal axle rod. And that's that. And that actually holds that down. So when you just put your drops of glue on them little pegs, that'll hold it down. And then the other rod, that just goes through there like that. And feeds through like that. So that's them done. Right, I've also spray painted the wheel hubs, just done that in the matte black. It's got a nice little sheen on it. So those are ready to be mounted into the tyres. I've also done the interior tub, that's in the matte black, but it's got a nice little sheen on it. I like that. So I've obviously got to cut this bit of sprue off. And that's pretty much it for the construction for all that page, the first page. It's not much, but it's definitely something. Right, I've now put the rims onto their rubber tyres. Now for the back ones, they are slightly thicker than the front ones. If you can just make it out. To be honest, I wish all cars were like this, all car kits, because these metal axle rods, they're brilliant. Usually what happens is, when I do a car, you'll have that little bit there, and that will plug usually into a peg that's already on the brake assembly. And sometimes when you put that on, it can actually snap and it's plastic, but these metal axle rods, they're brilliant. Right, so you just, like I said, you put the rim onto the tyre, which is dead easy. Then you just feed that through there, through the little hole. And then, another thing I like as well, you see that there on the back of the wheel, it actually fits inside the actual brake up really, really well. And it just slips in like that. And you can see it's gone right through the back. On other car kits, usually that's actually quite stiff. So I'll just push that through there, and then you get your other cap, and you just feed that through. And then the good thing about these brake things, I'm quite manoeuvrable as well, so they're not stiff. So you just push that up, and then you feed that onto there, and you just push that in like that. It's dead easy, so I don't even need to glue those on. And again, the axle rod on the front wheels, that one's a bit more stiffer, and you just feed it through that little groove on the engine that sits on there like that. So that now sits on its own chassis stroke wheels. So the next step is the interior cockpit.